there probably was the original bell put in. They used to use that when they was working out in the fields. They'd ring that bell and they'd tell them it was time for dinner. That's what the dinner bell was. It was on a big pole. The post's still there. And locust post, I think.
It's still there.
The post is there.
Yeah.
I got one back here, but that ain't the one that was over.
You know, we were looking at some of the pictures from when you guys were little. Everything was done in the front yard. Why did, the weddings?
Yeah,
everything.
tell us about your memories, like
From
from the old.
front yard, that was the only place we mowed, really. We kept the front, the back, well, we mowed it with a mowing machine. Okay. The garden was a great big space. I don't know. I think they made a driveway in through it now. The old driveway used to come in by the barn. Is that still there?
The barn burnt down,
Yeah,
but there are two driveways.
yeah.
One by the barn and then one.
Okay, that we only had the one by the barn, then we had to come up to the house the other way. They built one now where them cedar trees are. They cut right straight in. Well, it was lots closer. That went through. The grape arbor has to be gone because that's where the road was. We had a grape arbor. It was probably died out in that regard.
Oh, you mean where the road is?
Yeah,
you
where
guys
that new road they put in to go across.
Yeah, we didn't see the grape arbor. Yeah, Andy, tell me about what are your favorite memories from living at the old stone house?
Well, I don't know. Well, going to, I went to school. We went 4 years to Yorkville, supposed to get the Catholic education. They didn't have no room on the bus. And then this little Esther Ridge school was just up the road. And that there, I used to, well, let's see, I don't know, I was in the fifth grade, I guess, when then I went 4 years there. But the last 4 years, I used to have to build the fire in that stove every morning. I'd have to go up there, they'd let it go out every night, I'd walk up there, unlock it, and I'd get a quarter a day. That was a lot of money.
And where was this at?
Esther Ridge School, where Mallory Road is. That's where the school was. It's tore down now. Esther Ridge and Mallory Road up on top. There was 8 grades there. Oh, the most kids was ever in there, maybe 30 or 40, 2 or 3 in each grade. There wasn't too many in there. But all the kids around there, see, the Catholics, some of them went to, they didn't have room on the bus. So we went just the 4 years, first 4 years, and then the last 4 years, we went to there. And then from there, when we graduated, went to Guilford, which is a firehouse now.
Right.
It's gone. Then, we graduated from there, and then I went to, I graduated, and then, I got out of school. I worked at Sudman Sawmill for a while till the Korean War broke out. That was I got out in May, and that was that was about July. No, I think it started June the 25th. And then a week or so, they started hiring us singers. So me and 3 of us was working there. We just went down there, quit our job, but we got a raise from 75 cents an hour to $1 and $1
Well,
a
that was a
quarter.
lot of money then.
That was a big jump.
Relax.
Okay, and then, after that, then went down there and, I worked there about a year, then I got drafted. So when I was about 20 years old, that's when they was drafted. Then I went from there, I went in the Army, and they was 4 from Yorkville and 3 from New Elsis. Was all drafted at the same time. I mean, that was a lot.
What year was that?
Huh?
What year was that? Do you remember?
That was in 1951 we got drafted. The war broke out 50, and then, they took them as age, and so in 51, and they was me and Bud Miller, Red Huffmeyer, Roy Trussler from Yorkville, Tony Dahl from
Morris.
New Austin, Bob Schaefer, and Cliff Bischoff. And then we was all drafted, and when we sat in the training, and then all of us, there's only two of us. We went down to Camp Breckenridge and down in Kentucky. That's where, with the 101st Airborne, that's where we trained down there. So, well, me and Red, we signed up for jump school. We thought we would stay another 8 weeks. It was 16 weeks, but we got fooled. We was the only ones they sent us to Korea. They didn't send us to jump school, and the rest of them all went to Germany. But then everybody said that the reason they sent me and Red there because we was troublemakers.
Is that right?
Well, that's what around there was saying, you know. But that's the way it goes.
What kind of trouble were you giving them?
Oh, well, we used to drink a little at that time. Well, we both worked as singers. Well, a lot of them did. And, well, some of them worked in the distilleries. Hell, everything. We got out of school, there wasn't many jobs, not all ones. They went to Bowman, say. Oh, we was working 12 hours a day. And then we had to go in the army, you know.
Did you go to school all 12 years?
Huh?
Did you go to school 12 years?
Oh,
All 12?
yeah, I went, I wanted to quit school at 16, but my mom said, no, if you quit school, you'll turn out to be a bum. But, well, I turned out to be a bum anyway, so it don't make no difference. But I went 8 years, and then 4 at, I didn't go to college.
No.
Went to Guilford for 4. Yeah, I did graduate. Back in that time, there was a lot of them quitting at 16.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I graduated from down there, and then
Well, how many people did you have in that class?
in the class when we graduated, there were 30. There's only 2 boys left, me and Jerome Larman. There were 30 in that class, and they might be. There might be 3 or 4 girls left.
Isn't that kind of big for a class back them days? 30?
Well, see, well, they come from Yorkville. They come from Guilford. I mean, they would come down there, and they come from.
Not big.
Not for a high school. 30 wasn't that was probably a big class, but they come from Guilford and Pella and up there at Dover and St. Leon and all them places, you know, a few here and there, but yeah, there's 30 in their class. And then, well, after that, then we went down there and we took a basic training, and then we come home and, we used to have a pretty good time. We drive to Camp Breckenridge, Kentucky. Back then there wasn't no interstate. It took 5 hours. And this one guy, Cliff Bischoff, had a car here at St. Leon over there. He was everybody. I didn't have no car before I went there. We used to hitchhike back then, you know, wherever we had. I used to hitchhike to work, you know, ride with different guys. But anyway, Cliff had a car, and he had it made up when we got down there. He told Roy Trussman, he said, you just, when they call in the morning to say if I'm married, just say yeah. And he took off hitchhiking home and got this car so he'd have it so we could come home on weekends. But they wouldn't let us go for the first month or so. Then later on, but we'd come home and he had a big old Oldsmobile. And the whole 5 of us, 5 or 6, a big car. We'd ride back and forth and everything. And then, well, after that, then me and Red flew to Korea, or flew to Seattle, Washington. And anyway, he was on a different order, And he met me out there, and he said, "Well, they may change it." I was going to ship out the next day by ship, both of it, but they needed 50 guys in Korea. They needed real bad, so they flew Red from right there, from Seattle, Washington, straight to Korea. And probably 19 hours. But then he got over before I did. Then I got over about 14 days. I went over on the Simon B. Buckner. And went to Japan and went to Yokohama, Camp Drake, and then we went back out. And then that's when we went in to Incheon. And when we went from Incheon up, I didn't see Red for a long time, but he was on with the 45th Division, and he got wounded, and I didn't see him for a long time. And then your dad was on with the 45th Division. He was on Port Chop Hill, or no, Old Baldy. I was on Port Chop Hill. That was right next to it. But that was the 45th Division, and Red was in that. But he never did see. But Red got wounded, and he was in the back, and they kept him back already to unload ships, see. And then, I just stayed there. It took us a long time took a riding in. We rode by train for about 4 hours. The boxcars were all shot up and the windows all out. It was just, that was in May. I got there on May the 2nd. And then it was nice there. And then we got to Chinchon, and we slept on the runways right next to these runways. They land at night and everything, slept in our sleeping bags, and then from there we went by truck. But these airplanes come in and out, and they were dirt things. In the morning we woke up, just dust around your mouth. And then we ate breakfast, and then we got on and rode for another 4 hours.
What was breakfast like?
Well, there were sea rations. They come in a little can. You had a choice of meat and beans, or beans and meat, or pork and beans, but they had one good one. It was made in Indianapolis, spaghetti and meat sauce. I said that was made in Indianapolis, Indiana. But I looked at the can. This is 1951, and I think this was made in 1945 or 6. But it was that long. They were made, they kept. Well, it was something to eat.
The Best Buy date was gone.
Yeah,
by a long shot.
But anyway, got there, and then that's what we had to eat. And then, we went on up there, and then I went up there and signed to different companies. There were 5 of us from this group went to one company. I was in D company. So we went up there, and then we met the captain, and he assigned us, and he signed me to the 75 Recordless Rifle Platoon. And different ones, they went as a heavy weapons company, see. But they were in blocking position, that's 1.5 miles in back. And so that next morning they said, we're going out to the range and show you how, and we're going to do a little practice. Well, we went up there, and it didn't take very long. I found out it wasn't no range, because we shooting in that hill. They started shooting back at us. See? It was a front line.
Oh my
Lord!
They didn't want to tell us.
That was practice, huh?
Yeah, they said we're going out to the range before you ever go to something. We went up there and we
So
shoot.
the range was the front line.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and then they started shooting back at it. So I knew right away it wasn't no range.
There was no drill going on.
So then we moved up there.
Let me ask you, I want to ask you, this is probably a sensitive question, that just remember that this is going to be seen by, people in 100 years.
Yeah.
And this is sensitive for most people that have ever been in war. What was it like? And you were in what division?
7th Infantry Division. I was in Company D, 32nd Infantry Regiment.
Now,
The 7th Division, they's the same ones was trapped in the Chozon Valley. and he with the First Marine Division. About the only guy that, but he told me he was a Korean. Kim Sung Hung stayed with me all the time. He was an interpreter, but he was with them when they got trapped. There was only a few survived. They got trapped and they just killed them by the thousands, and other than they froze to death, and it shows on reservoir. But then later on, he stayed with me. This Kim, he was in my squad, but he was a rock soldier. He was 34 years old, I was 20, but they went in, they were drafted at 16, and they kept them duration. He was at 34 years old, and he remembers when the Japanese was there and everything, but it was just me and him, and another guy, the squad was left after the first day. That's when we assaulted.
How many people did you lose
How many did I lose?
in that first day?
The first day, well, okay, I'll tell you about Triangle Hill. Everybody talks about Pork Chop Hill being so bad. Pork Chop Hill was very bad, but Triangle Hill was worse because it lasted 13 days. We didn't know it, but there was 50,000 Chinese at the border ready to attack. They didn't tell us. So the day before, we fired support for another battalion. We didn't know what was going on. So we fired a whole truckload of ammunition, these 175s, support on these hills. So they got overrun. The Chinese had run in 1,000 at a time, and first one had a gun, and the rest all had grenades. He'd get shot, the other would pick the gun up, and they'd throw grenades. They just keep coming. When they do that, they blow whistles, and you could hear when they're coming. So that, after the first day, I'd say they lost practically, somebody told me they lost about 300 people in the first day, but that was the first day when we went up. They told us, well, we wasn't on the line right then. Sleep under your Jeeps and stuff. We were there to get ready to go. 2 o'clock in the morning, he called us out. So we started 2 o'clock in the morning. We didn't get to the top of that hill till about, it was just getting daybreak. All right, there was 6 of us in a platoon. The one I didn't know, he was from Wisconsin. He was just in there. He got killed the first day. Called him Shorty. I don't know what his name was, but and then the corporal, he was a Mexican American. He got shot with a sniper, and the sergeant got his backbone. So all was left, and the machine gun got blew up. We had a machine gun. We couldn't take his 75. They said, take this machine gun. So all was left was me and Kim and a black guy from down in Alabama. I can't think of his name, but I called down there after I come back home. He had died later on, you know. But anyway, there's only 3 left, and the machine gun was blown up. We didn't have none, so we got a BAR off of a dead guy. That hill, they got overrun. They killed everybody on that, the first of the 31st Regiment that went up there, 1st Battalion. They'd run a battalion up. And we went over, climbed over dead bodies and everything. You tell people that, they don't believe it. But nobody, they didn't pick up the dead people. The wounded was all carried off first. That's the way it was. They laid there. And then we found this BAR, and then we got the ammunition off of all the dead bodies around there. That was a 50 caliber we had, but we had to get the other. And, well, we stayed up there, and we stayed for, I think there was 13 days altogether. We got relieved, I think, after about 6, and then somebody else come in, and we made that out of there. And then after we left there, we went back into what they call blocking position. it's about a mile or so, a mile and a half, 2 miles and back, in case they get hit, and with to reorganize, and well, they lost a lot of people, had to wait till they come in. But see, that time, there was no rank. Rank was froze. I was a PFC, and other ones come in to fill it up. They was all privates that come in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the only PFC, and I had this squad of all privates. So they moved us from there. That was in the middle of the night. We went back there and we stayed there till, that was in October, and then we stayed there a little while, and we had Christmas Day. We had had our turkey and everything back at this reserve, where we was getting the squad. Everybody was just about gone. There was too many left. And then we ate our thing, and we moved out that night, Christmas night. We had our turkey and everything, and moved on from there. And after it got dark, moved up to Port Hill, and that's where I rotated from. But while we was back there,
How long were you there?
10 months and 22 days. All right, what happened, I was supposed to rotate home in 9 months, but they had nobody to come in, no replacements. They didn't have a replacement, you didn't go home. So they kept me longer. But as it turned out, they left me out 3 months early when I got back to the United States, because they kept me too long. Now you tell Perry, you can look on my discharge, it's on there, they left me out. Everybody didn't get that unless, they kept them too long in one spot. And I think your dad got out 3 months early too, when he was in there.
Did you ever see Dick over there? And
Oh,
by
no.
Dick, I mean Richard Dickman.
No, but he was in the 45th Division. Probably not, I never run onto anybody from here. He was in the 45th Division, I was in the 7th Division. And anyway, this is another story, but it's a good story. We was driving along the road, me and this Kim Sun Hong, this Korean, and here they picked up this 12-year-old boy. Picked him up, and he was in an orphan's home, and he didn't like it in the orphan's home. He didn't have, his kids' parents were all killed.
Yes.
So we picked him up, and we took him, and we kept him all summer hid out. And we found him, and we got him.
Did you ever watch MASH?
Oh yeah, but that's a Bash was back further.
I'm just thinking of how they would always help the little kids, the orphans.
Yeah, okay, but what I tell you this story. So on Christmas Day, all right, what I would do, my captain knew we had this guy. We'd hide him in our bunkers when we was on there, and we'd get sea rations. We'd feed him, and we'd get him uniforms, and he'd get them cut down someplace, and he looked like a little soldier. He's 12 years old, but he didn't like it in the orphan's home. And when the times would start getting bad, the captain would come and he'd tell me, he said, "You better tell him he better go back to the orphanage." So he had a truck. I knew the truck driver. He had that truck driver and haul him back. He'd be back there maybe a month. He knew the truck marked on the front. He'd hop in the front seat, the driver, he'd bring him right back up.
That's
And
fantastic.
because as soon as he was 16 years old, he would be put in the army, see.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept him high. He went back 2 or 3 times. But all right, then on Christmas night, my captain come to me and he said, this here is a pretty good job. He said, I don't know if you want it or not. He said, I picked you and Kim to go on patrol tonight. I said, what? Patrol? That's where you go out at night and everything, and sometimes you get shot and you don't.
Reconnaissance.
Yeah, and he said, I tell you what it is. He said, you gotta serve soup. at this orphan's home.
That's great.
The captain,
That's great.
I met him in Washington 50 years later. He died a couple years ago. But he knew we had him hit out. He was a black guy, Captain Stevenson. But anyway, we went down there, and that's all we had to do to serve. They took all of these sea rations. We had turkey for that Christmas. All the sea rations. And Captain said, everybody gives a can. They put beans and meat. They put them all and made a great big pot for these orphans. Oh, they loved it. They sea rations, you know, mixed it all. They made soup or goulash, what do you call it? And that's all we had to do, go down and fill the, there's a whole bunch in there. Now that was back maybe, we had to go about 5 miles or more. We had to ride back there. And so it was more that patrol, he said, he was going to have to go out that night. But that was our Christmas present for him.
That's pretty good.
And then the next Christmas night, then we moved back out. Then I went to Port Chop Hill, but after that we never seen him anymore because, well, we moved in a different place and everything. But I think he come back about 3 times and everything, and everybody knew it was the captain knew it was going on.
Do you think somebody took you guys' position after you guys left?
Everyone.
Do you think someone adopted him after you guys left?
Oh, I don't know. He might have, and then he might have just stayed back. Well, see, it was getting winter then,
Yeah.
and then, well,
In winter, I've been in Korea, and it's hateful.
when I left Port Chop Hill, that's where I rotated from. I was up there, well, I'll tell you this. Okay, me and 6 privates, they 600 guys. They never had no sergeants. The ones either rotated home or they was not coming in. And some of them got killed. And they just used, I was a PFC, and I had 6 men up there. And then these guys had come in from the United States, you know. We didn't have them right away. We got them every month or every week or so. They get so many till we got them all. And I couldn't go home till I found a replacement, see, for my job. And then,
Now, did you have to do that on your own to find someone, or did they do that for you, the Army?
No, I did. The Army found somebody, but they was supposed to be a sergeant first class, be that, see, but I was a PFC. That's one rank. Everybody that come in was just privates. And I had that from January or Christmas till, I went home Valentine's Day, 14th of February, 1953. That's when I left Korea. But I couldn't go till they got another replacement. And he was a PFC, and he got someplace else. He had to come over and show me, I had to tell him what to do. But see, you come in, they'd have these new guys the first night. Oh, they were scared to death. Well, everybody else was too. Then you had to pull guard 24 hours, from 6 in the morning, 6 at night. And they scared to death. Well, everybody else was too, but you'd have to go out there and you'd have to stay with them for a while and everything, and then till they learned it, you know, or just watch, you know. That's all you had to watch. Somebody come up and shoot you. But then after that they had a trench dug along there. And there's a battalion commander. I'd have to report to him every morning. Come up there, he Major Goldberg. We didn't have no officers. Our officers, a lot of them got killed, and we didn't have no officers, but this battalion commander come down, I had to report to him, PFC, Hornbach reporting. This morning I'd tell him, and every day he'd say, well, this trench has to go down deeper, 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 so he could walk through so he wouldn't get hit, I guess.
Isn't that nice of it?
So the next day I told I told that Korean, I'm gonna fix him tomorrow morning. I said, when he comes up there, and we standing in the ditch, we was digging. He said we were supposed to dig. When every morning we come up, we'd be digging after he left. Well, hell, it was sandstone and pick. Hell, you had to dig it out and everything. There was dirt that much, the rest was rock. You had to dig it out. And I was turning my back to him. I know he's coming. I was just digging like that with that mattock or pick, whatever it was. He said, "What are you doing, soldier?" I said, "What the hell's it look like? Driving a bulldozer." And he turned around. I said, "Oh, excuse me." He said, "You've been here too long," he said. What the hell, they gonna fire me?
Send me home. There's gonna be a lot of people doing that.
And he said, "You know what?" He said, "I got good news. You're going home tomorrow." But see, I was waiting. These other guys that was back in the rank that came in the same time, they were long gone. They were truck drivers. And they had these other guys, anybody could do that, drive a truck, I guess. They got replaced before I did. Them other, the ones that didn't get killed, I think there were four of us that went back. Come back.
How many of the guys that you went over there with from Yorkville ended up not coming home?
Oh, York, well.
The 7 or 8 that you were drafted
no,
with?
me and Red was the only two went to Korea as in that group.
And the others went to Germany.
Yeah, they all went to, well, Bob Schaefer, he went to the Marines, and Tony Dahl, well, you probably know Tony Dahl. He used to live right there in Mars. Yeah. He died too, but he was from New Houses. He went to the MPs, and I don't know, the rest of us, ones that worked at the distillery, I sent all them to the infantry, I guess.
So many people didn't come back. Is it just luck?
Oh, I tell you, that went to school with me, there's a lot of them. He went drafted, or he wasn't drafted. He got out, he went in early. Neil Farmer from Dover. He graduated in 1950. And there was no job, so he joined the Army. You know, I see him. And he went to Korea. He beat Korea. He went to Vietnam. He made a career out of it. He had 19 years in the service, and he got killed in Vietnam. One more year and he could have retired, and he didn't make it. But there was a lot of them. No, I don't know of any, that was not from Yorkville, during. See, they went different places. They sent some in Alaska, wherever they needed them, Alaska, and another reason I went to. I got pneumonia when I was in the down there in Kentucky, and I missed 1 week. I was in the hospital for a week, pneumonia, and I missed 1 week. And then there was, I don't know, machine guns or something. They said, no, you had to go to another company. They transferred me from one company to another company. The first company I went to, if I wouldn't have got pneumonia, went to Germany. I went to Love Company, and the whole bunch, as they needed them, went to Korea. So,
yeah. Luck of the draw, right?
So, I mean, that's the way it happened.
Yeah. Hey, Barb said you had an interesting story when you were returning home from Korea.
Okay.
Yeah,
coming home. Yeah. On the way home from Korea, when we was on the front lines, everybody, it was cold, 22 degrees below zero when I left that morning up there. And the only ones had these Mickey Mouse boots. You know what they are? They're thermo boots. They look like Mickey Mouse boots. The only ones had them was the ones on the front line. So when I come off the front line to the back, I had to turn these thermo boots in and put in my old combat boots. So I got back there and took them combat boots off, or Mickey Mouse boots, we call them, and put the thing on. Then I had a ride in a truck for 4 hours, and there were no heaters in them trucks. 22 below zero for 4 hours from the front lines to Chinchon. Then we got in a train. The trains never had no heat in them either. They had a garbage can there and our sea ration boxes. We put them all in there and we set that can on fire. And the captain come by there and he just raised hell, you gotta put it out. We said, if you want it out, you put it out yourself. Well, it'd keep warm. Well, it was cold as hell in there. And it wasn't gonna hurt the damn train. And there was no heaters in it. So we got back there, and anyway, my feet thawed out. And then, well, that was it. Well, I got there. Well, I got home. We was there at, we went from there, went on a, let's see, that there was the Meigs. We rode the Meigs there all the way to California. Well, we got to California and got in there, and they said, well, when you get home, you can either go by bus, rail, or airplane. I said, well, I ain't gonna take 4 days by bus and all that. I went by airplane. So, all right. They signed us up for airplane, and we waited, and they took, it was flying in a group 50 per group, plus a pilot and co-pilot in it. So we went out to the airport every hour. They was one gonna leave to fly from there to Camp Atterbury. Right. We went out there, got on the airplane. The first plane took off ahead of us. It crashed in the bay by Alcatraz and killed everybody on the plane, plus the pilot and co-pilot, 52 people. Nobody back here never knew what happened. They never heard of it. Now, they probably see that plane going down. But see, it was in the fog. After that crash every hour, they took us off the next plane. We was the next one to go. They took us off, took us back to a hotel, and they put us up in the hotel at, I can't think of it, the name of the town. It's across the bay there. But anyway, in a hotel for 4 days till the fog lifted. Well, we got it made, so we got in there and we flew from there. Well, we flew, I think we stopped at Dallas on the way. It took quite a while. Then we got, I thought, well, hell, we got it made. We got to, we ate breakfast in St. Louis, and then it wasn't very far, about 2 hours or so from St. Louis to Camp Atterbury. So we was up in the air, we ate breakfast and got on the plane, thought we had it made. We was up in the plane, it wasn't up in there very long, and they told us, we thought, well, we're about ready to land. Everybody to the back seats. So it had one of these planes that the wheels came down. Somebody said a C-60. I didn't know much about planes then. A C-60, the wheel, it held 50 passengers. It was a transport plane. C-60, they said, come down. And they didn't think the wheels was locked, and it was going to crash land it at Camp Atterbury.
So they wanted you all in the back.
Yeah, they wanted us all in the back. Well, we all went back. We didn't know what the hell was going on. So we went back there, and then luckily the wheels was locked. We got there, and the only thing they had sitting there, I seen, was one fire engine. Now, somebody said, didn't they have fog down? Or I don't think they had it back then. But anyway, that's all was there. One fire engine sitting, maybe it's there all the time, but he luckily crashed. Come on, and went to Indianapolis, got on a bus, went down to Harrison and hitchhiked home. I called up. We didn't have no phone at home. Called Red Weedoff. He had a tavern over at Yorkville. Weedoff's Tavern, okay. And they had a phone. And I called him up, and I said, baby, get somebody to come get me. Well, we should just wait there. Well, I think 20 minutes he was there. That was a long way from York. fell around, you know, down the 5H truck stop.
He couldn't wait to see you.
Yeah.
You couldn't wait to see him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a,
But then, see, after I got out and everything, I went to file a claim. See, when I got out of the service, they left me out for, when I'll tell you the rest. After I got 30 days at home, of 30 days, they sent me back to Camp Atterbury, and I got reassigned to go up and guard Chicago. A Navy Pier, you ever heard of it?
Mhm.
All right. Lakeshore Drive, we had 120 anti-aircraft guns. Somebody said they wasn't there, but they was there in 1950.
they're still on the Navy base, Great Lakes, or they were when I went to boot camp.
Okay,
Yeah.
but these were in North Avenue, Lakeshore Drive. The park was out there. We had 4 things right there in there, and that's where I stayed for about 3 months, just killing time. Then they sent me to Fort Sheridan up there, and every one time that was in July, but I got out 3 months early. I went up there, and I had to sign a waiver because my feet was froze, you know, I told them. Oh, there's no problem, he said, but I'm gonna have to keep you a whole dang week to see how this is. I said, no, he said, how about sign this, I'll sign this waiver to get out. I knew it was wait a damn week, I wanted to go home. My feet were thawed out then. So anyway, this captain, he said, all right, he signed that, all right. That was, I don't know how many, 50 years later or longer than that, after this here and everything. Everybody was telling me they was getting all their drugs from the VA and everything, you know, getting this here and everything, and I couldn't get in the damn VA. So I filed a thing there, and it go to Indianapolis, made it wait a couple years or something, and went. So I called Baron Hill. He was a senator or representative.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Representative.
Yes.
Within a week, they said my records got burned up. He found them. They found them records within in St. Louis. He said they got burned up. They didn't get burned up. They just telling that crap so you couldn't follow it. Go to Indianapolis to throw it in the trash can. So they finally said they found their records. They got me down there. They took me down there, but they still never found that thing where I signed that waiver on about my feet. But they took me in down there, and then actually all I wanted to get was my pills. And my hearing aid, they said, well, you got 30% disability. And I wasn't really after that, and I wound up, I don't know, I think I got around $400 or something. And all I wanted to do was, everybody was telling me about the pills they was getting down there free and how they was getting in, but that's the way it goes. But they just run me around and everything, but that's the way it goes.
Now, when you came back from over there, you went into Alameda, Treasure Island? Is that
What?
when you came back on the ship?
Yeah.
Did you go into Treasure Island and Alameda there, the Navy base, or did you go?
No, we went. You know where Camp Drake is?
I do not.
Okay, we had to get on a ferry. We come into San Francisco. We had to get on a ferry and wait. It took 2 or 3 hours to go up to Camp Drake on this ferry. Couldn't haul us all. Different ferries, they haul them up. That's where we was assigned to go home from Camp Drake.
Is that possibly where Mare Island is? Vallejo, Benicia, Camp Drake?
I don't know. This here, we went north up there. No, I didn't know it. But we come under the Golden Gate Bridge and past Alcatraz and all that into San Francisco. And then they took us back after that day to another place on a bus. I can't think of it, but it wasn't San Francisco. They took us to another place, put us up in the hotel, and then they bus us back out to, but we flew from, it was from Camp Drake, where these airplanes was flying from.
Fairmont.
The airport.
It's in Fairmont, California.
Where?
Fairmont, California.
Is that Camp Drake?
That is Camp Drake.
Okay, they got an airfield there? I guess they would.
Oh, I would assume, well, I'm in the wrong Camp Drake.
But these were these were Army or Air Force guys. These guys were World War II guys flying these planes back and forth to different parts, pilots and co-pilots. They weren't part of our bunch, you know. That was it. They was in the service, but
You were in Santa Barbara. Camp Drake was in.
Okay, but there
Santa
was
Barbara.
another, a place, what's the name of some other places? They took us back, that's where they put it, the only place I guess they could
In
find.
California?
In California.
Clark Air Force Base is there.
No, but this was a town. They took us on a bus from the Air Force Base. What would have been one close there?
Well, you got Walnut Creek, you got Oakland, you got San Jose, you got Mountain View.
It might have been Oakland.
I would say Oakland because there is a Navy base there.
Yeah, they had, and we was in, there's 50 of us. They put up in the hotel and then for 4 days, and we just go down and eat, see when we fly out, and then lift up and we'd come home. So.
And I'm going to go back to when you were actually over there. Most things people don't like to talk about, you know, when we go to war. You know, it's not a pleasant place to be. How were you able to deal with what you saw when you were there? Because it wasn't good.
Well, I don't know. You're scared all the time. You don't get allergic to that. I mean, people say they're not scared, they are, but I don't know. You just do what you can. I don't know, the guy next to you, maybe he's here, maybe he's dead the next time. You climb over bodies. I've seen so many bodies and stuff like that. And I mean, you see stuff. See, I tell people this, and they said, you just been watching too many war movies. But I've seen some, these here was, they laid on these hills for 2 or 3 days. They had what they call the Korean Civilian Corps. They carried the dead bodies off. We carried the wounded off. In the meantime, we just didn't find out there. If somebody got hurt, we had to call them down. If they're alive, put them on a Jeep or get them out of there and then come back, you know. But they left the dead ones. They'd be there 2 or 3 days. Maybe these dead bodies be laying there. We'd be laying right next to you. And then they finally come and haul away these other guys. And so, well, that's why, we used to get the ammo off of them. You didn't have it. You only have so much with you, and then it's hard to get it and everything. But we kept that there, a BAR. That wasn't really our gun. A BAR, you know what that? It's a bounty automatic.
Explain what that is.
All right, but we were supposed to have a machine gun, but we pulled guard with that, me and this Korean and that guy. And I tell you what, that Korean was through all of up in the Chofon Valley and everything. He's seen so many, but so many of our company, he told me there was 15 Koreans assigned to that. There's only 3 of them left. him and Cam and Chung. Most of their names is either Cam or Chung. Or Big Boy, we had Big Boy in there. I don't know what their name was.
Did you stay in contact with Kim when you came back home, or?
Oh no, he was 30. But I tell you what, when I was over there, I had a neighbor give me a silver dollar. I carried it in my pocket all the time. And when I left, when I was rotating, and we used to have a rosary.
Mm-hmm.
We put it around her neck. Somebody said you ain't allowed to wear them. Well, we did that way. Around her neck. And we would pray a rosary if you had time. But when that Korean, when I left, he said he'd like to have that silver dollar. And he'd like to have a rosary. He wasn't even Catholic.
He might be now.
And he said, well, he said, you know, it looks like it helped you. But he was in for the duration. He didn't go by points. He stayed, well, after I got out, that was, I was back home when the war was ended. I got out the 17th, and I was back at work. But I mean, I got back home before that, but then I don't know. But see, I tried to, I had a roster of all these people for Christmas when we ate over there on a Christmas day. I had a roster of all the people. I knew where most states was. And well, this was 50 years later. The grandkids knew how to find people on telephone. You know, they call it, if you knew what state it was, you give them a name, if you had the name, if it was spelled right. So, well, I want to find out, I got an invitation to go to the Korean Veterans, that was 50 years later, it was in the 90s sometime. We flew to Washington, someone by bus, but I was working yet then, and me and Mike and the girls and Fran, we flew up there. But anyway, I wanted to find out, see how May was living. They took that thing and they went down through there, and I found the majority of them, some of them, well, I got a picture out there. I'd say over half of them that I took basic training with them never come back home. But okay, the ones I was with in Korea, I only found 4 that were still living. These guys, I called this one guy, and he thought I was killed in Korea. Well, everybody else, say when that machine gun got blew up back in Company Rear, they said they thought I was killed. They didn't know, but it hit real. It didn't. Went in the sand, and just lucky killed. Well, there's only 3 of us left, but anyway, he lived in Cleveland, Ohio. He said, "Hell, I thought you was dead." And I said, "Well, no, I was back." He was still living. Another one lived in Michigan, and they're both dead but now. But I mean, this was back in the 90s. My captain, I called him, that's the black captain. He was in a World War II. He was a carryover, he was a black captain. See, during World War II, they were segregated, had black and white. But in Korea, we had black and white officers and men too. They were black and white with us too. In Korea, the first one, World War II, they had different units. They weren't together, integrated. Well, you know that. But anyway, he was a captain. And anyway, he was a great captain. Because he always told me, he said, well, you know what? He said, people raise heck about this and that. And he said, you know what? I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. I said, well, that's fair enough. But he'd always pick me out be point man or something like that. I often wonder why. Yeah, point man, when you go on patrol, you're out in front. If you got, they do that, so if you got hit, they don't hit them all. But that was the job he had as somebody. But anyway, he was living, and my platoon leader, he come over there. That's another story. People don't believe that. A platoon leader. He was right out of West Point. He was 22 years old. I was 20. He come over. He was a second lieutenant. Well, he moved up pretty fast. You know what he was when I was talking to him? He was a 4-star general. He went. When I see he was our platoon leader on Triangle Hill, all the officers got shot. He moved up fast. He was in. He went to captain over there, and then he told me he was twice in Vietnam, and then he went up. He's a 4-star general. Bill Richardson's his name. Now, I think he's still living. He'd be 93, I think. He was older than me. Now, he might still be living, but that's the only one I know. But the captain come out, he met me. I had dinner. We had dinner with the captain over there. But the general, I asked him, he come down. No, he said he's got his own business. He was running. He didn't have time to come down. The captain just laughed and he said, that's a different class. He said, they wouldn't eat dinner with you. They all live in some place, the generals all live in some place around Washington. There's some name, McCallum or something?
McCollum.
Okay, yeah. He said, nah, he said, they couldn't eat dinner. I say, you used to eat steam rations with us.
Now, Andy, okay, you were a PFC in the privates. You literally were not really a PFC at that time, even though your rank was PFC. You were really
as a sergeant first class.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, did
they didn't give me no extra pay?
No. What I want to go to. Did they decorate you at all? What kind of medals did you get, if any?
Oh, I got the combat badge and I can't say I got the Bronze Star, but I can't. They sent it to me 40 years later. I don't know what the hell. I had three battle stars. Now Bronze Star is a little different, but I don't know what the hell. They never ever. I was over there. They never awarded me none of the medals. I don't know. As we was rotating in Japan or something, how many medals you got? They give you this and that. They never was no ceremony. Never was awarded anything. a couple years ago, I got this Bronze Star through the damn mail. And I don't know what the hell was for, but the one that I was supposed to got over there, there was a medic we had over there. He got hit, and he went into an ammo bunker. You know what that's a place where they store the ammo. He crawled in there so he wouldn't get hit, and hell, the place was getting shelled so bad, and he couldn't walk or anything, and I drug him out of there, and the place got hit, but I didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
But they said that's what they said that's there wasn't no ceremony. I don't know. There was a slip or something, but I got that. I didn't get the Bronze Stars. I don't. Somebody said after a while they give all the Korean veterans Bronze Stars, but I don't believe that.
They don't. I don't. No, they do not.
That's one about the lowest ones.
Andy, no, Bronze Star is one of the higher.
What?
It's one of the higher medals you can get in the Army, is it not? The Bronze Star.
Well, no, Congressional Medal of Honor is a high. Well, Bronze Star, Silver Star, probably Bronze Stars.
Like
That's
fourth or
about-
something down?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty up.
No, it's about. I think that might be about a combat infantry badge. That there, you just have to be under combat so many days. I got that the first month I was over there.
Do
See.
you still have all your medals and
Yeah,
uniforms and stuff?
But I never did get. I got this Bronze Star 40 or 50 years later, but that ain't even on my record that I got the damn thing. They mailed it to me, and somebody I don't know where it came from.
Well, I think honestly you should have been decorated for what you did.
Well, I had that's all you get. I mean,
Well, honestly, you are decorated. Bronze Star's a decorated
well,
medal.
all right. Somebody they call battle stars as if you're in a battle scene, and I have I think three. I don't know, three. I think it was three of these Bronze Stars. That was below the. They're made out of bronze too.
Mm-hmm.
People get confused with that. They say them are Bronze Stars. They're battle stars. And, but the combat badge, you have to be in combat for not 30 days, so many days, and then you get that, or you get fired on.
I mean, even going to the bathroom over there was not easy, was it?
Huh?
Even going to the bathroom over there was not easy, was it? That had to be a treat.
Oh, I just had a big trench tug.
I can't even imagine.
Oh well.
Oh, I can, but you know what I mean.
It wasn't no place too good. The main thing is just keep warm. Well, we had to build our own bunkers when we got up there. We went down, and when I first got there, we tore the railroad track up for the cross ties. The rails was made in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I told that one, my platoon sergeant, Bill Richardson, he was down there. He said, yeah, we built a bunker we use across. I said, well, hell, that's close to about 30 miles from where I live, Cincinnati. I said, I didn't know they built them rails. I guess they built them and shipped them over there years ago. There was a track all the way through there. We just tore up. We'd use the cross ties to put over bottom and sandbags on it. And then we'd, in the wintertime, well, me and this Korean, we had to build a stove so we got an ammo box. It was about that big. I don't know, mortars was in it or something. You could put about a foot or two of thing in there. It hold about 6 or 7 pieces. And so we took a bayonet, me and that Korean, and I said, well, how the hell are we going to do that? He said, here, we'll get that bayonet. He would just cut like that and made an X. He was pretty smart. He bent them 4 tabs up. We had a pipe that some other ammo come in. That was our stovepipe, and we made that. We put that out the roof. And in the daytime, well, there's plenty of firewood around because there's all pine trees, see, and they's all shot off and laying there dead. And that was his job. He'd pile that, and well, you'd pile a stack up that high. It didn't. Well, you was in the ground, it didn't take much heat, but we'd keep a fire going in there. And well, on guard, these guys sometimes they'd go out on guard. This one guy, and they'd come back and they'd eat a can of sea rations. One night, this guy put his can of beans on. There's 6 of us in a little bunker about like that. We made bunks out of steel fence posts and commo wire, and then we had these air mattresses we put on top of it. Oh, they was fancy. And anyway, we had 6 of them in there, and then that's where we slept, see. And then this guy went out of the guard, he pulled 2 guards, and we come back, he put that can of beans on there, and that was the guy who was supposed to don't fire it. It didn't take much to get it hot. And then he fired it up, he put his beans on, he went out, and while he was there, it got hot, and the beans, he didn't punch a hole in it, and it blew up and it blew. I was laying in the top bunk, and all his beans was all flying all over and everything. This one guy, he's screaming, I'm hit, I'm hit, I'm hit. And I went like that, I could taste him. I said, no, you're all right, it's just beans. I thought somebody threw a grenade in there.
A grenade of beans.
It was a can
That's
of
pretty
beans.
good.
But after that, they punched holes in them.
Yeah, that's good.
Learned a lesson there.
That's good. That's wonderful that you guys have. Now, do you still have any people alive that you have a relationship with?
No, not more. The one, Albert Cortina died. He was the same outfit. And Bob Meldrum, he just died this last year. But anyway, I don't know. And the captain died. I never called I was going to call the general up and everything, but he might not like it. He might be in a nursing home or something. But the captain, he was in a nursing home. Oh, he called me up at Christmas time lots of times, the captain would. He was in a nursing home, him and his wife. And anyway, let's see, I seen a calendar was made for the Korean veterans, and it was so big, I don't know, that year. It was for this anniversary, the calendar. I seen it in the VFW book or something, I bought one, and I sent him one. I sent one of them other 4 guys, and he was tickled death. He said he hung that up in his bedroom. And then he wrote a book. He wrote a book, and my picture's in the book. I forget where it is, a little book, and he's telling all about it. He said, see, he was in World War II too. He said he forgot all about Triangle Hill, and somebody asked him about that, and he said, the only guy I know asked about it and was that would remember, and he called me, asked me, and he wrote a book about how it happened and all the things went on and everything. But he had my picture in there. He said, yeah, this is one guy lives out in Indiana. In World War II, he took his basic training in Camp Atterbury. It was the 92nd All-Black Division. They were trained at Camp Atterbury. He said, just up the road where he took his training before he went over, and they were highly decorated. Not too many years ago, so many of them got the
Agent Orange.
Congressional Medal, 7 of them, but because they was black, they didn't give it to him before. And then he was telling, they was telling on there, and he knew most of them officers. And then, he come back, and then after he come back, he was, he stayed and then retired. See.
Well, both of us are veterans, and all I can tell you is thank you for your service. It's
a lot of people, just in the last 20 years, a lot of people didn't know what the Korean War was. But the Vietnam veterans used to come up to me when they were wearing a hat and thank me for their service.
And I hope they still are doing this when you wear a hat.
But he said that he thought we was treated dirty when we come home, but not near as bad as the Vietnam
No.
veteran. That was terrible, the way, you know, they was, well, that's what you was in during,
No, I was in after, Gulf War, I was in.
what?
I was in the Gulf War.
Oh, it's a Gulf, okay, yeah. But anyway, that's the way, I'd go, you know, these flea markets and stuff like that. Most other people, before that, some people, well, I don't know, it was right after World War II, and a lot of people didn't know, they just thought you went on vacation. You was gone for 2 years and come back, oh, where you been? On vacation or someplace? But anyway, that's the way it was.
Yeah, I just want to tell you thank you for everything, because I think it takes a special person to do this, and it's not everybody that can do it, even drafted.
Well,
It isn't for-
I don't know, I don't know, sometimes you don't know if you're gonna be around the next day or not, but you just try what you can, and, I mean, I don't know what.
No,
There ain't
it's-
no special group. You don't have to be a great big muscle-bound guy,
Mhm.
because he can get killed that quick too.
Right.
I mean, you can be a lot of it, hell, a lot of it's luck, I don't know, and everything.
I think the big guys got a lot of it to
Oh,
do
well,
too.
yeah. Well, they always say they always leave one guy to tell the story.
You're it.
That's what they say.
Well, that's why we're here. We're gonna get your story.
Yeah, and then I asked different, I was talking to one guy, and he said, I said, I wonder why some people live so long and other people don't. He said, well, you're one of them hell raisers. He said, you know, God don't like hell raisers, and the devil don't either. So you might be here a long time.
I hope so, Randy. I hope so.
I think that's a
I
good.
hope you're here for a long time.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna- I'm
and-
gonna